Alright, so we're going to expand a partition in Linux here. To do that, let's see what we got going on first. We'll do a df -h. Let's see how much space we got. So if you run a virtual machine like me, we can verify that the 16 gigs that it shows here is correct. Alright, machine settings, storage. There you go. 16 gigs. Virtual size, actual size 772. So used is 7.2. 16 gigs. So now we're going to shut down and download GParted. So GParted can be found at gparted.org. Download PHP. Choose your version. Get the ISO here. And we're going to boot up with that. You have to wait for this to go. Countdown. So in addition to booting from the ISO, you can also install it in these distributions, and this is how to do it. I usually boot from the ISO. We can try this. So sudo zipper install GParted. Yes. All right, so with your machine shut down, you'll go to File, Tools, Virtual Media Manager, and this is what we're working with here, 16 gigs. Allocate it. We're going to allocate another gig, make it 17. And this is just a virtual disk. We'll still have to go use GParted to expand the OS itself. So 2 steps involved. One is to, if you're using a virtual machine, to expand the virtual disk, and the second step is to expand the actual operating system. So we're going to apply this. Looks good. Now we're going to start this up again. And we'll take a look. df -h has not expanded yet. So now we're going to do GParted. And this is the local installed one. Root password is that's unallocated. So that's what we want. We want to expand SDA to 16 gigs. And that's the 1 gig that we added to the virtual disk. So I resize this, and we are going to add, you can either add the numbers here, up and down, or just drag this. We're just going to drag it. Resize it. Then when you're ready, you can just apply the operations. And there you go. Close this. Close this. df-h. 17 gig space now. Next, I'm going to show you how to do it with the ISO. In case, you know, the Linux distribution that you're using, you want to expand, doesn't have a local install for GParted. So let's try that next. 17 gigs. That's where we'll start. All right, so after you download the GParted ISO, we're going to go ahead and attach this to the virtual machine. So we're going to optical drives, and we're going to choose an ISO. And now we're going to boot to that ISO. And a quick little way to do the reboot is the init command, init 6 sudo. So that boots up to GParted ISO, and we want the default settings. This is what I typically use because you just have one ISO for multiple operating systems. You can do it for Windows and pretty much any version of Linux. Just take the defaults here. Don't touch the key map. Language, pick yours. I'm doing 33, English. And start automatically. It's going to bring me up with the same kind of GUI prompt as the local GParted that we just did. But what I forgot to do is I forgot to add an extra gig to this. So we're going to have to do that and reboot. All right, so we're going to expand it again in the virtual disk. Tools, Virtual Media Manager, openSUSE. We're going to go bump it up to 18 gigs now. We'll have to reattach the ISO, so we'll do that and reboot. Local drives, do the disk file, GParted. And we'll do this again. It's taking the defaults. So it brings me back up to the GUI that shows me the hard disk partitions. All right, SDA2 looks similar to the other one. We're going to resize it. It's got 17 gigs. Oops, this moves the partition, so this is useful if you need to move stuff around, but we want to drag it. There we go, get all 18 gigs. Sometimes you have partitions that have something at the end, and you can't resize it, and you can also manipulate things by moving them around here. And then we resize that. This checkbox, apply. And we're done. Close this. And you can just reboot. Shut it down. I had to remove the ISO from the attachment. So you have to go to your optical drives and actually remove GParted ISO. There it is. All done. So now you can restart it. All right, once you boot it up, TF-H, and now we're up to 18 gigs. So this is a useful utility to expand your partitions. The more you expand it to, the larger, the longer it will take. It seems to be with every new version, it gets a little quicker though.